The guys you see next to me have invented the most amazing thing that will blow your mind.
Hi, I'm Jim.
Hi, I'm Manu.
But first, let me tell you what the problem is. Imagine you live in a poor country and you want to drink water. But the problem is, this cup of water is full of billions of tiny monsters. Some of them are good and some are bad. So if you drink this water, you might get a disease. Because a lot of these bad monsters in your water can only be seen by a microscope that costs $2,000.
And for that amount of money, most people cannot afford to see the microscopic world.
And that's where these guys come in to solve the tiny monster problem. Manu and Jim at Stanford University came up with a unique invention. They made a microscope that's 1,000 times cheaper because it's made of paper. Yes, paper. You get this paper, fold it just like origami, assemble it, and just like that, you have a microscope that allows you to see objects 140 to 1,000 times bigger than they actually are.
Do you see that?
Okay, good morning everyone. Selamat pagi semuanya. Senang sekali pada pagi hari ini kami Global Educollab bisa kembali mengadakan webinar series. Ya, we can have a webinar series, and then this time we are very honored because today we have our honorable speaker, Jim Cybulski. Yeah, he is the founder of the Foldscope. And then today we will learn a lot from Jim Cybulski about how the journey of the research into the product, especially Foldscope, the product which is very useful in education, not only in education but also in the medicines. But before we start our sessions, we will start at 11. Here we also have Mr. Agus Fitriandi as the founder of the Global Educollab, and then probably Mr. Agus will explain a little bit about the Foldscope, yeah, and we will use Bahasa and also English because most of the participants here are from Indonesia. And then I will try to translate for the Jim. Hello Jim, and also hello Ken. Can you hear my voice?
Hello.
Oh, hello, yes.
Okay, so we already have Jim and also Ken from the Foldscope. And then Mr. Agus Fitriandi, I think as the founder, the CEO of the Global Educollab, can you give some opening speech for this webinar? Okay, times is yours.
Oke, terima kasih Farida. Halo, bisa didengar suaranya?
Yes, we can hear your voice.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang semuanya. Hello Jim and Ken. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you finally.
Yeah. Let me to give an introduction in bahasa Jim. Ya, Bapak Ibu semua, kakak-kakak semua ya. Terima kasih sudah bergabung dengan webinar kali ini ya. Senang sekali akhirnya kita bisa bertemu dengan para Global Educollabers dan juga tentunya para pengguna Foldscope di Indonesia ya. Jadi siang ini kita akan mencoba mendengar bagaimana cerita di balik penemuan Foldscope ya. Seperti ini mungkin Bapak Ibu semua yang belum pernah melihat Foldscope. Bentuknya sangat ringan, bisa disakuin, tapi kualitas hasil pengamatannya merupakan kualitas mikroskop riset. Jadi pasti kita penasaran ya dengan seperti apa sih Jim dan Manu ya bisa mengembangkan produk yang sangat luar biasa ini. Mungkin itu saja, Farida. You can continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Agus. So basically, Global Educollab is one of the partners from the Foldscope in Indonesia. Jadi kalau rekan-rekan sekalian dan juga teman-teman ingin mengetahui seperti apa Foldscope, yaitu mikroskop kertas, bisa menghubungi ya atau bisa mendapatkannya melalui Global Educollab begitu. But James and also Ken, as we will start at 11, then I think I would like to share again the video about Foldscope, yeah, so that all the audience will know exactly what is Foldscope and then how to use it. And then I think it is also need to give their perspective about what is Foldscope. Okay. Okay, let me share again, and we will start at 11, Jim.
Sounds good.
Okay, wait a minute, then I think it's about 3 minutes. Let me share again for all the audience.
In your water can only be seen by a microscope that costs $2,000.
And for that amount of money, most people cannot afford to see the microscopic world.
And that's where these guys come in to solve the tiny monster problem. Manu and Jim at Stanford University came up with a unique invention. They made a microscope that's 1,000 times cheaper because it's made of paper. Yes, paper. You get this paper, fold it just like origami, assemble it, and just like that, you have a microscope that allows you to see objects 140 to 1,000 times bigger than they actually are.
Do you see that where my...
So, with this microscope, bacteria in the kitchen sink looks like this. A baby starfish looks like this. The heart of an insect looks like this. And even the sand of a flower pot you have in your backyard looks like this.
This became a window to a whole new universe.
This microscope is so durable, it can survive a punch. It can survive physical damage, water damage, and even a drop from a building.
It's the only microscope in the world that can survive that.
But the best part is the price.
This thing costs $1 to make.
$1.
For that amount of money, they were able to make 500,000 microscopes and send them all around the world to kids and adults alike, who were now able to see a whole new universe that they couldn't see before.
You see that?
My God!
You see that? So I woke up today and I checked my phone and I saw this picture of a village in Tamil Nadu, India, of kids opening up these pouches and exploring their microscopic world around them. And this happens every single day.
And it gets even better. In the future, if you're a doctor in a remote, poor area, you could get a version of these microscopes and be able to detect on the spot diseases like rabies and malaria without having to buy a $1,500 microscope.
Because it's very important to make science affordable and accessible to everyone around the world.
This piece of paper deserves all the attention because it can help thousands of doctors, inspire millions of kids, and even save lives.
We're trying.
Yeah, okay, we have seen the video about the Foldscope, and I think it's very interesting. And because Jim and also Manu create Foldscope that is affordable for all of us, especially in Indonesia, a development country. Jadi ini adalah Foldscope yang didesain menggunakan origami begitu, dan harganya sangat terjangkau. Jadi membuat semua orang memiliki kemampuan untuk memperolehnya dan juga menggunakannya. Ya. Before we start, Jim, let me explain a little bit about your background so that all the audience can know much better about you. Okay.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants, please, before we start our session, I would like to read the biography of the CV of our distinguished keynote speakers today, Jim Sibowski. She is the co-founder, as we also know from the videos, is the co-founder of the Foldscope. But before in Foldscope, okay, sorry. Excuse me. Okay, and now she is the Chief Executive Officer and also co-founder of the Foldscope Instruments. But his education background is awesome, yeah. She got his bachelor in Lehigh University, and she also graduated from MIT. Wow, with the GPA, a perfect GPA, 5.5. And then he got his PhD in mechanical engineering from the Stanford University, where he also found the Foldscope in Stanford University with Professor Manu, if I don't mistake. You can explain about this a little bit. And he has experiences, some experiences in Intel and also Axis Surgical, and finally found the Microscope Foldscope with Manu. So without further ado, I think all of us really want to know more about your journey, how to create Foldscope, and then from the research into the product. Jim, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me try to share my screen. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yes, perfect.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and speak with you all. Really appreciate the invitation and your interest in our work with the Foldscope, and also, yeah, your work with doing distribution and all your past work that you've done with our community. So I want to start out just with a few words about my background and my journey to getting to Foldscope in the first place. So I'll just say a few words about that. At Foldscope, I started working with Manu at Stanford University in 2012. You had mentioned a little bit of my background there. And we at Stanford, we scaled up our production to 50,000 units, and since then have produced millions of units sent to around the world. Prior to that, I was very interested in doing different startup companies and just learning more about the process that goes behind making actual products. So I spent quite a few years in academia, as many of us do these days, and my background is in both mechanical engineering and physics, and so I worked on quite a few different research projects, but I got interested especially in the medical field. So I did a couple of startup companies for that within the medical device field. And that is actually what led me to start thinking about the Foldscope. Our inspiration is really to create a malaria diagnostic tool that would reach people around the world and provide access to medical diagnostics. We were focused on malaria, but also for a number of different diseases. And I myself grew up in a rural area. Our family was low income, and I appreciate the need for low cost tools and just making things generally accessible. So that's a few words there. And in the top right, you can see a picture of me together with Manu Prakash. He's the other co-founder of the Foldscope company. So this is our team right now. We have some people have been with us quite some time, like Ken, and others that have been with the team also for a good amount of time, but have just contributed in amazing different ways. So for example, Sophia, you see on the bottom, is our factory manager. So she's really responsible for getting all the Foldscopes actually manufactured and shipped out. And we have a number of technical people on the team, and some people that contribute on the side of making our workshops friendly and accessible to people. So that's another thing I wanted to emphasize, is that in order to make a company like this work, it really takes a lot of people and a lot of time and effort, as well as not only our core team, but our extended team through people like your group. So we really appreciate all that. So what is our vision and the value that we hope to create with our product? So our intention in working on Foldscope, as well as other products that we've been developing over the years, our intention is really, we like to say, we magnify curiosity worldwide. And what does that mean exactly? Well, we think, people in their innate form are very curious people, very, they have minds that like to understand, the world around them and to investigate a lot of different things. And everyone exists in their own context. So the things that I see around me are going to be different than what you see around you. And so there's a lot of value that is added by everyone around the world. It's not just a matter of, putting tools in the hands of a few scientists that have, spent a lot of time studying things in universities. We really want to enable people in all different contexts to have access to science tools. And we think that is a fundamental value, because the great ideas that can shape the world are really inspired by those different contexts. And so until we bring everyone into the equation, we're not going to have the ability to create all the great technologies and discoveries that we could otherwise create. And so we think it's very fundamental to have frugal innovations like the Foldscope, where you get down to very low cost, $1 per unit, something on this order, and we can reach people on the scale, of millions and millions of people around the world, and just open up the possibilities. So with our microscope, the Foldscope right now, it's $1.75 per unit in the lowest cost form. With that, you can see single cell bacteria. And we've created the world's largest amateur microscopy community with, I believe it's over 160 countries now. This is slightly dated numbers on here. And it's not just about, the breadth of our community, but we really feel that the individuals that we're providing these tools to, they really, each person matters. Each person, the curiosity that people are able to express in using their tools, we think is really, the key, the key points of all of our efforts. So, thinking about individual users is important to us, and we spend a lot of time with workshops and just trying to support our community to make sure that it can grow and thrive with the tools that we provide. And the last point from this slide is the Foldscope itself. Although the lens is extremely inexpensive, It's a single ball lens. It costs, in US dollars, it's 6.5 cents from the manufacturer. But the image that you can get out of it is actually quite good. It's even research grade. We can image single cell bacteria. In this image that you see here, these are ciliates within from a flower plant, but there's it's really high quality images that you can get with the low cost tools. And one other point to be made here is that current technology, there is a significant gap that is left by current technology in providing for the needs both for STEM learning as well as for broader exploration within the field of science. So just within STEM learning, K through 12 microscopy has been, the techniques for that have been really stagnant for, 50 years or more. And the opportunities that exist now are growing, right? I'm presenting to you from many miles away, and we can successfully communicate, whereas, a decade ago, this would have been, difficult or, unheard of. And so remote education opportunities are really great, especially here, COVID has really inspired people to accept remote learning as a standard. And excuse me, just thinking about people's ability to identify different microorganisms. There's lots of ways to expand people's knowledge of these things. So we have in our app already, we have machine learning algorithms that can help, provides a sort of artificial intelligence to help you understand what you're looking at. So this, people can essentially use their phone to learn what it is they're looking at. They don't even need to have that background necessarily of a microbiologist to do microbiology. So there's a lot of opportunities that are provided with these kinds of tools. So the Foldscope itself, just saying a few more words about the exact details of the Foldscope. It's pictured on the right here. I guess most of you have already seen it, but essentially it has a ball lens in the center. I don't know if you can see my cursor there, but it has a ball lens in the center, and there's a magnet which helps to control the focusing mechanism, as well as it provides a method for attaching the Foldscope to your cell phone so that you can do image capture. And if you turn your cell phone around, you put the coupler on the other side on top of the light source, you can actually couple the light in to the back of the Foldscope and project the image onto a wall. And a whole audience can see the image from the Foldscope at the same time. In a very dark room, you can get quite good magnification and detail of your sample. It's a very fun exercise. So the lens that we have right now that's standard, it's 140x magnification with 2 micron resolution. The paper that we're using is synthetic paper. It's 100% waterproof. You can take your Foldscope and duck it into a bucket of water for 2 days, leave it there for 2 days, pull it out, shake it off, and there's no issue. It's completely waterproof. The lens is a glass lens. It's a borosilicate glass. And even so, the actual materials cost for the Foldscope is under $1. We include some accessories with it, and there's labor and shipping, which is why we need to sell it for $1.75 in the lowest cost form, but that's really with no profit. That's just a break-even type of selling price there. The Foldscope, as I mentioned, it can couple to your cell phone for image capture and just generally for easier viewing. Some people, maybe their vision, elderly. Sometimes we get older people visiting our booth at the workshops, and it's harder for them to see directly with the eye. Maybe they have like floaters in the eye, but with your cell phone, you can see it very easily on the screen, and multiple people can see at once. We have an app that's free. As I mentioned, it can help you to do image recognition of different items that you see in your field of view. So that's also fun. You can capture images or video. And I already mentioned the projection viewing. So we already saw a video. If you don't mind, I'd like to show one more video really quick, just to give a sense of some of our typical workshops. I'll start that in a moment. I just want to give a context. So you see some of the images on the right side here. It's 12 images, and I have the labels of what they are underneath. But just wanted to give that as a snapshot of the image quality that can be achieved, even though the lens is quite inexpensive. And one of the interesting properties that happens is it's a paper microscope. It's a $1 microscope. You don't expect much. So the first time you see it, people often have this wow experience, like, wow, I can't believe that. So that's what we tried to capture in the beginning of this video. I'll start the video now.
Might be trying to escape from the tape.
Jim,
Yes.
there is no sound from the video.
Oh, you can't hear the sound? Oh, okay. Okay, I can stop it here. Sorry, I could hear the sound. I thought you could also hear it.
Yeah, sometimes we forget to share the sounds.
Oh, no worries. I will move on to the next slide. This is just showing some, particular things you can see there. All right. Very good. So the next point I wanted to make is just that, the community that we've developed and the overall set of opportunities that we're trying to make available to people. It's not just about hardware. There's a number of different elements that are really important to growing the community. One part is the hardware. So we have hands-on kits that include the Foldscope, as well as some other accessories that come along with it. Another important part is the app, just having the ability to identify what you're seeing, share it with the community. But then also different initiatives that we are trying to develop with different partners that connect people to each other and just allow groups of people to enjoy using the Foldscope and the opportunities that come along with it. That's otherwise, where the Foldscope couldn't be reached. So I think, it's not just hardware. It's a bigger set of opportunities that we're trying to provide. So we're actually up to, just about to 2 million Foldscopes now. That number is a little bit dated there. So we have you know, a broad distribution around the world. And you know, one way of thinking about our tool is that we'd like to, in the long term, is just have everyone in the world be able to walk around with a Foldscope in their pocket. They see something, you know, of interest, maybe an ant crawling across the sidewalk, and they can investigate it just at that moment without, you know, having to capture a sample and take it back to a lab somewhere. It's something they can do at that moment. And people benefit not only from having the tool and you know, the ability to recognize the samples, but also from the community itself. So we think of our community, you know, not only as a group of, you know, great people to learn from, but it's sort of an idea factory. And you know, people have come up with a variety of different really great ideas in a bunch of domains such as, you know, education. I have a list there on the screen. You can see, you know, I mean, agriculture, even health and different areas, and also in art. So I included a few examples across the bottom. One that I'll just highlight is the idea that you can use the Foldscope to identify fake drugs, because in some regions, you know, you go to a pharmacy, you buy, you know, some drug that's maybe over the counter, or maybe it's a prescription, and you just want to check and make sure that it's really what it should be. If you have a protocol for that, you can use a microscope like Foldscope to help you do that. So that's one example of a practical application that that came out of our community. It wasn't something we thought of. And you know, there's a number of use cases that have come up in recent times here. With COVID, you know, people have used Foldscope to look at the quality of different masks to try to evaluate if some masks are, you know, better than others. In agriculture, you know, people have been using Foldscope to look for different types of pests or, you know, plant pathogens, and using the Foldscope, just examining what they find on their plants there to try and understand what's causing the plants to have an issue. And there's lots of examples in extreme environments. One of them is we have an explorer from France who's been traveling around the world on his boat and looking at samples he gathers from the ocean, like plankton and things like that, and just documenting that as he's been going on his journey. Foldscope fits very well since it's very portable and waterproof. So I thought it might be interesting for the group just to hear a few words about the design history of Foldscope, of how we arrived at this design and what's the kind of process that we used for getting there. So just as a, you know, very oversimplified diagram, you know, we had an inspiration of what we wanted to achieve based on the idea that, you know, malaria is a very disease with a very long history of humans, and we wanted to try to find a diagnostic tool to help diagnose that. We came up with some designs. We had a bunch of iterations. As we do those iterations, you know, we get more and more features that come out of our iterations. So you get a sort of feature explosion. And finally, you have to choose the design that you want and the features you want and scale that up. How am I doing on time? Should I finish in a few minutes here?
Yes, actually it's on time, but we still can we have a session for the question and answer, Jim?
Yes. Give me 2 minutes, and I'll finish. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right.
Let's continue.
Very good. So yeah, I'm almost done. I just I was going to add just a few more details here. My screen is frozen right now. There we go. So yeah, as I said, you know, large part of our inspiration was related to malaria, as well as the work of you know, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, who created you know, the microscope out of a ball lens originally many years before us. And with his microscope, you know, discovered the bacteria as well as a number of other things. And more recently, there was an innovation called PocketScope, which was also an inspiration for us. On the design side, you know, we asked ourselves, how do we create a design like this for less than $1 in parts, which is, you know, a challenging place to start on a design process, but that's where we started. And, you know, this is part of our publication here, is just this table showing, you know, the cost of the different elements that are included in the Foldscope. Iteration, you know, we had many different versions of the Foldscope. We started on the left side of the series of Foldscopes there. We started with a simple matchbook, and you know, gradually it's you know, took form in different shapes and became a more manufacturable design with more features. And we did testing, you know, with resolution grids, you know, mathematical modeling, lots of different considerations. But I think there's you know, there's a core to this process, which is, you know, you start with an idea, and you want to start with a very clear idea of, you know, what you're trying to achieve, and you know, keep pushing on it. And no matter where you go with what you find, you keep in mind what is your initial inspiration, and always keep that in view so you don't get lost, because there's a lot of times when you can get lost in the process of looking at different designs. So we, as part of our feature explosion, we had designs for bright field, fluorescence, microscope arrays, dark field, number of different microscope designs. We created tools for scaling up the design. So we made over 50,000 units, which maybe it sounds like a big number, but let me tell you, it is a very big number when you try to make that many microscopes. And so that was quite the process. And then, you know, of course, we asked ourselves, what do we do when we have that many microscopes? You know, there's a lot of things out there to see. You know, how do we distribute them and make sure that everyone gets the right to explore? It's not just something that happens in a limited context. So the answer to my question is we formed partnerships. So we had partnerships with groups in the US, like in Ector County. We had partnerships at the Indian government. We did these amazing citizen science programs where the government funded large-scale rollout of Foldscopes there. And then there's what we call a ripple effect or multiplier effect in India, where we teach a group, that group teaches other groups, and everyone keeps you know, teaching more and more people, and it goes to, you know, hundreds of thousands of people just from our initial efforts. We also worked with different groups to create digital content, such as the Paper Girls, and there's you can go on YouTube and find different cartoons that they've made around Foldscope. It was really great inspiration, I think. And recently, I don't know if you're aware, but Manu and his lab, I didn't even know until after it happened, but they went to Indonesia and they had a project there. I have a video I can show. I know we're running short on time, but maybe later we can show this video.
Time actually, Jim, because we set until 12 o'clock. So if you can share the video, it will be great for us, I think.
Okay, perfect. So I will start the video. This is one of my last slides, so I will start it now, okay?
Okay, don't forget to share the sound, Jim.
Oh, how do I do that? I will go back. How do I turn the sound on? You know?
Usually you can go to the right side.
I think I know how to do it. Let me give me one moment. I have to. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen again, and this time I'll turn the sound on. Sorry about that. All right. Play. Hear the sound? Creating plankton nets from the common materials to capture creatures out of the water. All right. That is, I just had a few points here, but I think we can go right into questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim, for your fruitful presentations today and a very interesting. Now I know, no wonder that some of the order come from Bali. Yeah, we got a lot of order from Bali because Bali have, has known about the Foldscope first. Yeah, so
I
we got
see.
so many order from Bali because of we know the project that Manu created was in Bali, right? So, dear ladies
Yeah,
and
yeah. I didn't
okay,
even know that was happening until it happened. So, but yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. Yeah.
yeah, very interesting. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, participants ya, rekan-rekan Global Educollabers, silahkan jika ada yang ingin mengajukan pertanyaan, Anda bisa tulis di menu chat room ya, di menu chat, kemudian atau Anda bisa langsung raise your hand begitu, angkat tangannya ya. Nanti kita akan sampaikan ke Jim begitu. Oke. Oh, Jim, it seems in chat room. Yeah, in chat room, I think one of the member of the activity, right? From a clean. Okay, this is the activity, Mr. Victor probably. Yeah, he has the experience working with Manu.
Oh, great.
Okay, so from the chat box.
Oh, the chat room. Okay, yeah, I unshared so I can read this more clearly.
Or maybe I can talk, so
Okay,
it'll be
please.
easier for you.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, Jim. Nice to meet you. So,
Nice to meet
when
you.
Manu was in, so when Manu was in Bali, so he made a program, right, for the Foldscope. So I joined that, and we were doing the looking closer workshop at that time. So after that, because to be honest, like, our team was very inspired with the Foldscope, what it can do, and what can it impacts the communities. So we were thinking of like to continue doing the workshop. So
Yeah.
there's your other like 3 members who are doing their other Foldscope programs. And for me, because I'm in a community called Sinbayo ID or Sinbayo Indonesia, if you may know.
Yeah.
So we're doing the Foldscope programs as well. So recently, we did a workshop in Sumbawa. It's like in one island in Indonesia, to clean up the river there because it was very, very dirty. And we also use Foldscope like to observe like what kind of microplastic we can find there, or maybe the other organisms there. And we did that for the undergraduates and also the high schoolers there. So we've been doing that, I think twice, one for river, one for schools, and we are planning to do that as well in the future. So I was thinking like maybe who can I contact to get like some ideas for the workshop in the future, because like I know that there are a lot of workshops going on about Foldscope, and that would be good if we can get like some more insights what we can do for this Foldscope. And the other one you mentioned about the sponsorship, maybe we can contact to or fill the form on like so that we
Yeah.
can get that. Thank you.
Yeah, I love all those suggestions. So yeah, I think so we have a director of strategic partnerships on our team, Paola. And so if I could just type it in the chat there. So if you guys want to just contact her, and I will talk with her as well. Yeah.
Actually, Jim, actually, they should contact Farida, or I guess since they are our partner in Indonesia.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's I think that's a great suggestion, Ken. I mean, that'll be a great point of contact. I think you know, Paola can also, you know, help to provide insights as to what types of things that we've done outside of Indonesia. We have, you know, lots of work in India and so forth. But yeah, maybe we can form, I don't know, WhatsApp group or something like that. I'm not sure what would be easiest. but it would be nice to form some sort of group where we can share ideas about all this. And also, you had mentioned about sponsorship opportunities. I don't have, I don't have a sponsorship that's waiting to go right now, but I think we are trying to, connect people who want to do work just like what you're talking about with people that want to, enable that. So we do have a current program that we're starting to work with, Teach for All. So that could be one possible connection. I'm not sure how active they are in Indonesia there, but we can try to connect with them. But anyway, yeah, maybe Ken, who do you think can be the best contact to start this?
Maybe Victor, maybe you can contact me, and then I will put you in touch with on our end with Paula. Also on the Indonesia side, definitely Frida or Agus can help.
Yeah, excuse me. Probably for your information, we already have our WhatsApp group, in Global Educollab. Then we can also, yes, in Global Educollab. And if you would like to create the kind of activity, I think Global Educollab can also try to manage about these activities and contact the Mr. Ken and also Paula.
Yes,
and then,
perfect.
Yeah. And then Victor, thank you so much for your sharing. But there is a questions also. This is in private chat that asking about the background of the Foldscope creation. As we also see about the origami, it's also inspired the design of the Foldscope, right, Jim? And then also your background in because I read your background in lens in one of the company to create a lens for surgery. So I guess this background also affected the way you design the Foldscope itself. Could you please share a little bit about how the process and what are the most interesting thing when you use the origami? Because the audience here, it seems not only from biology education or science, but also from mathematics, and they can see how the link between the mathematics and then also the science. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, I actually, before I started on Foldscope, I did independently have an interest in origami. I used to, get origami books and try folding things. So that was a particular interest of mine as well. But yeah, so when we started this project, we were really focused on the idea of, maintaining the quality of imaging of a microscope, bringing its cost down dramatically. And there's some types of things in a microscope that people consider to be essential that are not essential. If you can get an extremely good image near the center of the field of view called the paraxial region, then you can still do good imaging, even though on the outside the image might not be as perfect. So people do a lot of work on trying to correct the outer regions of the image field of view while not paying as much attention to the center. So that was part of our thought process, is that we can use a lens that would get high quality imaging while not focusing on the edge, not getting caught up on the fact that we're losing some quality at the edge. And then one of the caveats of using a ball lens, however, is that the back focal length of the ball lens is very short. So when you try to build the microscope, especially if you're trying to make something a minimal amount of material, you find out that you need to get the lens very close to the sample, and you need to control its position very, very carefully. And so as we were contemplating how to construct this, paper sort of came as a natural element in the process, just because you want something thin, something flat, something that you can kind of hold in your hands. And if you make it too small, then when you're trying to hold the sample and you try to bring it up to your eye, your thumb goes into your eye, and you start to you're not able to actually view it successfully because your thumb is there in the way. So the next thing that becomes important is to get the size right, and then of course you need to take the lens and you need to embed it into the microscope in a way that is permanent and that achieves the good optical resolution. So we found that in a piece of black paper, if you cut the hole very precisely, you can actually do very, very good job at controlling the aperture size. And you can use the flexure of the paper to allow you to do focusing. But in order to use flexure, of course, you need to have a clever way of mounting your sample into the paper, as well as providing an ability for the paper to move over top of the sample so that it remains flat. And so that's where the origami part really comes in, is in trying to achieve both panning and focusing within that platform. Hopefully that was clear enough.
Thank you very much for your explanation, James. Okay, there is one participant who would like to ask question directly to you. Please, Ibu Murni.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Jim.
Thank you.
I'm from 11 Smart University, friend of Farida, but I'm from Department of Biology Education. I just want to share that one of my students had tried to make Foldscope through the STEM project. So we tried to make it, but we just used the simple lens. So we didn't get the very good quality of the object. So I just thinking that we could share the idea of making the Foldscope to the teachers by through the STEM project, and also as said by Farida, that origami is one of the issues that could be used on learning many things. It's not only mathematics, but also I think engineering now they use a lot origami to produce or to design, to make design of the product. So that's also possible to do. I just also want to ask if my student want to use the Foldscope to do research, because we are from Department of Biology Education. It means under the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. So we nurture teacher candidates for teaching biology. For example, if they use the Foldscope to as a part of his research or her research on STEM education, is it need to ask permission from your institution to use the Foldscope to as a part of research? It means that we will apply or implemented the Foldscope to STEM project, and then measure some student engagement for that.
Yeah, no, you're more than welcome to use it for those purposes. We're always grateful if you share, share the fact that you're using it and, the results that you find. But of course, you're more than welcome to use it for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I really like the idea of connecting to different concepts and applications of origami, because it is a bit of a, how do I say, it can be very inspirational for people to think that you could connect the art side of your brain to the science side of the brain, right? To bring together origami and microscopy, art and science. So yeah, I really like that inspiration for helping people to, even just think about the possibilities of what you can do with low-cost tools and, and with your creativity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Terima kasih, Bu Ida.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Murni, and also Jim. Jim, I have one question also related about the process of the research and also the process of the scale up and then creating the corporations as a researcher, because you said that you are like to create a startup company. So based on your experiences, in which part there is much more challenges rather between the doing the research itself or creating the startup and then scale up the product into your company? Which one is more challenges for yourself, Tim?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I think that is going to vary a lot according to the particular project that you're working on. You know, it's also a question of what you enjoy, right? Because things get more challenging when you enjoy them less. So for me, the part that I enjoy the most is, you know, the hands-on portion, building things, sort of tinkering around with the, you know, the engineering search space of what you can create. And the part I enjoy less is more, you know, fundraising and, you know, thinking about, you know, maybe some particulars of, you know, how to do marketing or how to do some of these more business related functions. You know, all of it is fun but challenging. But I find the greater part of the challenging, you know, the greater part of the challenge aspect for me lies on the side where, yeah, it's somewhat related to scale up. I mean, scale up by itself, I think is also something that I can enjoy, but it's more the business side of it that is, yeah, I think, you know, it's not my background and something that I have to work at more.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear audience, ladies and gentlemen, is there any other participant who would like to ask question? Adakah yang mau bertanya boleh menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, and then I will translate it into English. So please do not hesitate if you feel a little bit shy to use English. Okay. Oh, it seems no more questions, Jim. So because here in Indonesia, we'll almost come into the lunch time. Okay, almost 12 o'clock, Jim. Yeah. So dear, for the closings of the session, Jim, could you please give us a closing statement about the session today, especially from the research into the product and then finally into the startup? What actually, as a researchers, yeah, what actually we need to know and also we need to practice so that our research can have a benefit just like yours, Foldscope, because it's really a great thing. It's very useful for many people in the world and for science, of course. Then what is the most important things? Okay, please, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. Well, I really just as you were saying for this you know, session, I just really enjoyed the session here today. So thank you, first of all, for having me again. Yeah, the most important things, you know, for me, I think I've had the, you know, opportunity to work in multiple different projects within the startup world and, you know, a number of different things in the research space. I think that, you know, just understanding, you know, where your work is going to be used and using that as an inspiration for your design. I think a lot of times, you know, as scientists and engineers, we get excited about the science a little bit, or maybe the engineering challenge. But I think it's also really important to think about the, you know, the end use case, where, you know, like when we started Foldscope, you know, yes, there already existed solutions for diagnosing malaria and such, but our inspiration was, you know, the people that would benefit from our tools, you know, are somehow finding that solution not you know, fitting into their what they would ideally you know, be able to use in their context. And so, you know, context is important, and really, having a good starting point, and then building on that over time with a number of iterations that are supported by lots of testing. So that's really, I think, what has made Foldscope into the tool where it is now is the starting points, and then lots of input from our community. We did quite a bit of work on the pathfinding side, going out into the field and trying to understand what the needs were and what the opportunities were in the field. So that's really, I think, the best advice that I can give for other projects that would be in a similar space.
Okay, thank you very much for the very inspiring speech today, Jim. And then thank you for your valuable times for giving us the opportunity to learn directly from you how to. We hope that this speech will inspire more and more Indonesians to be able to create the very useful things through the research, and also this can be more people know about Foldscope in Indonesia, and then it will be more distributed evenly here in Indonesia. Even the school, the student in the school, they can buy this Foldscope and use it for the science, for the learning purposes, so that they can get the benefit from it. Okay, please, all the participants, give big round of applause for Jim for his very inspiring speech today with your sign. Okay, thank you very much. But before we close the session, let us take a picture together. Okay, could you please open your camera? Then we will have a photo together. Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, the others participant, we are waiting to take a pictures. Okay, are you ready? Then I will count. Okay, more people, more participants. Could you please open your camera, and then we can have a photo session? Okay. Okay, more. We're still waiting. Okay, Mariska, and then okay, are you ready? Give the best smile. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you very much. One more time, I would like to say thank you. And from Mr. Agus, do you have any comments for the closings?
Yeah, we will invite all the participant to our community by email.
Okay, thank you very much for your interesting talk this once again, Jim. And also Ken, thank you very much for helping us to get in touch with Jim. And then finally we can learn directly from Jim. And thank you all the participants for your very active participation today, and then for your interest. Then we will meet again next in our next webinars. Of course, stay tuned in the Global Educollab social media, and then please join our community. Then as Victor mentioned also, I think we can have a chance to try to create a new project, and then find out about the funding, right? Okay. Once again, as the moderator of the sessions, I would like to apologize for any inconvenience, and then see you again in the next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Record, and we'll find the record and share it. Please join in our community collaborators. Thank you all.